When radio was raw and wild, PJ was in charge. Producing radio and TV for some of the greats in the industry, PJ has seen it all. From Disco Duck to What the F***. This is Streaming Legends with PJ.
Yo, so excited for the pod today. We've got Dean Cain, yes, Superman. And he's going to tell you a lot. We got a lot to talk about. Hangs out and grew up with the Penn brothers, Sean, Chris, Rob Lowe, all his group together. Think Young Guns. That's who he grew up with. And in fact, Dean's dad directed Young Guns. But aside from that, his Superman outfit, how he finally got his hands on it after years and years of not having the actual outfit, he got it. We're going to tell you how that happened. His first kiss with Terry Hatcher and what she said to him. It's blow-away stuff. You're going to love it. Stay right here. Streaming Legends going with Dean Cain right now. Okay, well, I've got my favorite guy on with us today, Dean Cain. How are you, buddy?
Oh, I'm great. How you doing today?
I'm doing so well. And I know you well enough to know that I appreciate you doing this because I know I'm interrupting something that you're doing because you're the busiest guy I've ever known. So, I mean, what am I interrupting right now? Seriously.
Busy is good.
Yeah.
I love to be busy. I'm in the middle of, I'm just finishing up post-production on a movie called Little Angels, which is this little signature, this little insignia here, which I quite like our logo.
Yeah.
And it's a movie that I wrote, produced, directed, starred in, and we'll start screening it in about the 28th of May for buyers. I'm sorry, of March for buyers. So it's really exciting. And it's completely independently done, independently financed. So nobody's seen it.
Wow.
I'm extremely happy with it. It's really good. Outside of that, I've got 3 or 4 more movies to shoot this year scheduled already. And one writing job that I took to write a screenplay for this book. Then I'm recording an audiobook next week. So those are the things I'm doing in the next little bit.
See, I that's why I knew I was interrupting a lot, you know, and I want to talk more about your coffee. Yeah, have some coffee. I want to talk more about your movie too, but I want to say, you know, you didn't hear the introduction, but the way I introduced you was writer, producer, director, actor, talk show host, political analyst. But number one, I started with dad because that's how you and I met years ago. Our kids were in the same school. And I've always, anybody asks me about you, I say, he is a number one dad. I mean, I see it in your focus. I know you are. And because I've been there, but I don't know if everybody knows that or not, how much and what you've actually put off and not done to be a great father.
Well, thank you for saying that. Being a father is my number one duty in this world. And it's the thing I cherish the most. My relationship with my son is amazing. My son, Christopher, is now 21. Yeah. He's a junior in college at High Point University. He's doing super well. I've had full custody of him since he was 9 years old. I've had joint custody of him since he was born. My life has been work, raise my kid. It's one or the other. And, but raising my son has been, I mean, of course that's a lot of work, but it's also the most rewarding thing I've ever been a part of. Like I can't, if he has trouble, I can't, it's like hard for me to breathe if something's going wrong with him. You know, it just bothers me so much. At one point in time, my accountant, who has a bunch of kids, says, you know what, you love your kid too much. You need to have more. You need to spread it out a little.
Well, that was my question to you because you are a great father. I see and have seen what you've done with Christopher throughout the years. Why not more kids?
Because what happened with my son was that his mother and I were not together. And so it became an adversarial relationship as opposed to us trying to help each other and do the things that I think were best for our son. So we ended up in court. It was very expensive. It was ugly. It was mean. And since that time, I just haven't met the woman. If I met her tomorrow, I'm in.
Okay.
You know, so
okay. So we're going to start working on that.
Good. Thank you.
No,
I'm wide open to it, you know, but to be a dad in that time and during that period of time was really tough is that I had to go through the California court system. Yeah. It cost me literally millions of dollars. It severely limited what I could do work-wise, because if you go off to make a movie, you're abandoning your time.
Right.
You know, so there were so many rules and restrictions. I have not starred in a series since Lois and Clark. I won't star in a series. I'll do it if it's an ensemble. I turned down being probably the highest paid actor in television for a series that I was offered in Vancouver, and ended up going 6 years. My year one guarantee was the largest year I've ever seen by far. And what it would have been by year 6, God only knows. But I turned all of that down on the spot. I said, "You're telling me I have this choice. I can be this actor and make all this money and have this wonderful career up here for how many years, or I can be a dad." And he said, "Yeah, you." And I said, "You're making me make that choice." He said, "I think you have to make that choice." I said, "There's no question. Then I'll choose being a father."
Well,
and I also severely limited my work because I couldn't go out of town for too long. I couldn't take the lead in any show. So for 9 years, until I ended up with full custody, I really had to be careful and balance everything with my work. It hamstrung me.
yeah, no, I mean, it does that. I mean, I even know, being in radio, I got out of the morning shows after doing it for 20 years because I was being told that I was missing every event at, from kindergarten to, all the way up because I couldn't be there because it all happens in the morning and I was never there. So I basically got out of that to experience that because that's what I wanted to do. So I feel for you. I know what that's like, but you made the right choices. I mean, the way you grew up and where you grew up and all that, I mean, it's incredible. The background you have you grew up with the Penn brothers, Chris and Sean, Rob Lowe, Chad Lowe. I mean, all these people you really grew up with the cast of Young Guns. That's what you did.
Which my dad directed, of course. So we grew up all together in Malibu, California. I thought every kid on the planet woke up and, was able to walk down to the beach and go surfing and then, play sports, and the weather was always beautiful. I, honest to goodness, literally thought that's how everybody was. Because we weren't particularly well off. We lived in a trailer park.
Yeah.
It just happened to be in Malibu.
Yeah.
And
but did you have any run-ins with Sean though? Because he doesn't seem to be like the nicest person in the world.
Yeah, of course. Well, our parents, Sean's parents and my parents were like best friends. So I was always with the Penns.
Yeah.
And Sean was a few years older than me, several years older than me, but was also a great surfer. So he had a lot of cachet because he was a great surfer and a tough guy, so I never had any run-ins with Sean. I mean, I was closer age with Chris. So Chris and I played a lot of sports together and did things together. And Sean was just older, and we sort of looked at him and like he was Jeff Spicoli. He was that surfer.
I know, right? That was
so when he started acting, I was like, what? Acting? It's a real life thing. I couldn't imagine that because it was just school and sports. And Sean and I are family.
Yeah.
And we are diametrically opposed when it comes to political views. But I would hug that man anytime I see him anywhere because we literally grew up together, and he is family. And I'm okay with people having, opposing political views and being able to air them. That's what we're supposed to be able to do here in America.
Exactly. And I can't imagine you and Rob hanging out. I mean, you two good looking guys. I mean, it must have been like a free for all for women. I mean, I'm serious, Dean. Come on.
Well, I'll tell you what, the girls liked Rob even back in the day.
Really?
Way back in the day. He was always pretty.
So were you. I mean, come on.
I was more the athlete.
You were the athlete.
I never thought of myself as pretty. I was the Japanese kid. We were the two Asian kids who ran around, my brother and I, and as athletes. I never thought of it as being, pretty. Rob was always just pretty. He was just pretty from the get-go.
You're like a quarter Japanese right?
Yeah.
You're not. Yeah. That's
my given name is Tanaka. And when I was younger, it seemed to be much more pronounced, to be honest. I look back at pictures of me and I'm like, who are those little Asian kids? Oh, it's me and my brother. But so it was, to us, it didn't seem like anything, but I remember my friend going, hey, Frank's sister asked if those two Chinese kids moved out of here. And I was like, what Chinese kids? He's like, you idiot. I was like, oh wait, we're Japanese. I just didn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any difference,
No, makes no difference.
Got the dark hair or blonde hair or whatever it happened to be. We were all Malibu kids.
The prettiest girl I ever saw was half Japanese and half Swedish. And I want to tell you, that combination was the prettiest girl I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of pretty girls.
I believe you fully.
Not as many as you, but I've seen some. But this girl was a knockout. So that's a great bloodline to have. It really
that's
is.
a nice mix. I like all the mixes. My god kids are gorgeous, and they're half black, half Spanish, white, everything. They're all mixed up, but they are so ridiculously gorgeous.
Right.
And my son is gorgeous too, and he's all mixed up.
He's a handsome kid. He really is, And you mentioned football, and I wanted to talk about that because, first of all, you broke NCAA record for interceptions, right, at Princeton?
Yep, I still hold two, but they're sort of an asterisk
Uh-huh.
because they're per game averages.
Right.
Because in the Ivy League, we only play 10 games a season.
Yeah.
And that's it. And there's no postseason.
Wow.
And it's because of the rigors of the academics. And they set this out a long time ago. I wish we were allowed to play in the championships. You know, there's now called the football championship subdivision.
Yeah.
It was before it was called 1AA. I wish we were able to play in the postseason. I wish they'd fix that because I think it would do a lot for Ivy League football. We get some great teams. Princeton is fantastic right now. I had a wonderful run while I was there. So I set 2 NCAA records that still hold. Most interceptions in a single season. I had 12, but I had it in 10 games. So that per game average is 1.2. Wow. And then my career for 3 years, so 30 games, I had 22 career interceptions. Also, still an NCAA record. So,
well, what was your nickname? The Vacuum? I mean, seriously.
No, it was Dino. They just called me Dino.
Dino.
That was it. There was no, because I also led the team in tackles. One of my junior season and then my senior season, I was like 2 tackles off from the lead. So I wouldn't just intercept. I would certainly, I would hit you too.
You were
that's
a free safety?
I got my shot.
Yeah.
I was a free safety, but that's why I got my shot to the NFL. Because, well, Jason Garrett was our quarterback at the time.
Right.
Started off my year, but ended up graduating a year later because he transferred to where his dad had been a head coach. His dad was a big time NFL scout, and he saw all our games and he was just like, this kid belongs in the NFL. Yeah. So he ended up basically getting me to the NFL, and I got my shot at Buffalo. And the Buffalo Bills defense was literally made for me. I was so comfortable in that defense. I was more comfortable in the Buffalo Bills defense than I was at Princeton.
Scary.
And I was like, I can't wait for this. And then I got injured.
Yeah, you blew out your knee, or what happened?
Yeah, my knee.
Yeah,
and I didn't have any speed to spare, so having that, and it was a defect. I blew out my lateral meniscus on my right knee, and a big portion of the cartilage of my femoral head, and that was a bone-on-bone issue, and it just never got better. So I ended up having to retire.
What a shame! What a shame! But you've got those great records that you get to talk about forever.
And I got my helmet over here too. I got it.
Oh yeah,
both my Princeton and my Buffalo helmet.
Oh, nice.
I can look back at the glory days.
You can look back and polish those helmets. That's what you do.
Exactly.
So I know that, growing up as a kid, we talked about what you've done, who you were with. You never thought yourself as Superman, I'm sure. Did you ever imagine being Superman?
No. Although when we watched Super Friends, which was the cartoon of the day for my brother and I, it's all we got we used to have to change channels and the UHF and all those things and the bunny ears. we would get Super Friends, and my brother always wanted to be Aquaman.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, was, if you remember the Super Friends Aquaman, it's questionable.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I liked Superman because he was the toughest and he could do everything, and he was just so confident and great. So I liked him the most, but I never thought I'd get the opportunity to play the character. When I got the script and they were like, they want you to audition for Superman. They're doing a live action Superman. I was like, how's that going to work? Because they hadn't, those superhero shows like we have today, a dime a dozen,
right,
didn't exist back then. We didn't have the technology the same, and it just wasn't the same desire for it really. And I thought this might not work. They're like, it's six episodes on air. You might really want to give this one a shot. And I was the first person that the producers saw. But when I read the script, it made sense to me. It really, the relationship between him and his parents and the way he was trying to find his way in the world and his goodness and almost in a naivete, the way he approached everything. It was almost like he was naive and thought everybody was good and should be good. And that's how he was raised in small town Kansas values. And that's what I loved about it. And that made sense to me. My dad's a farm boy from South Dakota. I was raised with those same values. Yeah. So I thought, what, this makes sense to me. And I walked into that audition, and it was Robert Butler who did like Hill Street Blues. And so he knew if he does this show, it's going to be great. And Deborah Joy Levine, who wrote it, and a person on the camera. And I remember I walked in there and I just said, hey, I read it last night. I think it's great. I think I have an interesting take, my own take on it. I remember Bob Butler goes, all right, let's see. So I read. And
your take was more of an innocent take, huh? On that character. Innocent. I mean, that's the way it plays to me. I by the way, I love that series. I was so bummed out that I thought it ended too soon.
Well, it did. We were picked up for a 5th season.
Yeah.
So we were going to do a 5th season, but Terry, who played Lois Lane, Terry Hatcher got pregnant, and it was going to be a difficult pregnancy. And
No.
so she wasn't going to be able to shoot. And they just thought, you know what, it doesn't work. If I remember, I even lobbied them. I was like, look, have her do it till she's pregnant. We'll write it in, till she can't do stuff. And then we'll just have her do stuff. We'll make it a complication and we'll figure out something.
Well, she could have had a super baby.
Exactly.
How about that?
I was all gung ho about that because I thought that would be really interesting to explore what would happen if they were able to have children together. And so I thought that would be a lot of fun. And I was pushing for that, but I didn't win on that note. But the show, we went our 4 years. We were picked up for a fifth, didn't get to shoot that, but I did play him innocent. I came in with innocence and honest and earnestness, really earnest.
Very earnest. And
I think that was a key.
Yeah. And by the way, Dean, and I know you've heard this before, this ain't fooling anybody.
Wait, where did Paul go?
Hi, I'm Jed. I'm Paul's brother. And
Jed.
I'm just here. I just want to say hi to you, Dean. I really love what you do.
Appreciate that, sir.
I've always really, really enjoyed your work. So I hope to bump into you sometime. I live back on the East Coast, so I don't get to see you much. But yeah,
I understand.
Well, anyway, good talking to you.
Yeah.
Did you meet my brother?
Oh, you're already back. Yeah, I was just talking to him.
Oh, good. Oh, great. Yeah, he loves you. He loves you.
He's a smart guy.
So when you auditioned, part of it is physical. So did you have to put on those blue tights and the cape and everything?
No, I did not. They looked at me. They knew I was a former NFL football player.
Right.
And they figured, okay, he can handle it physically. They actually asked me to bulk up, to get bigger.
Okay.
To get stronger. I was pretty skinny.
Oh, okay.
The NFL likes you pretty skinny and lean.
Yeah.
And so I was lean and they wanted me to bulk up.
There you are. Look at you.
Well, I'm stopping that with my hands.
Look at that. It doesn't even look like you're working that hard. You've got that giant wheel stopped.
Yeah. And there was a lot of smoke that came off of there when my hands did that. It was more from the steel because I was fine.
Do you have that outfit?
There it is.
Yeah. Do you still have that outfit?
You know what? I didn't for the longest time until last year. Mm-hmm. And last year, I was at a Comic-Con in Switzerland, and this lovely family purchased it for me and presented it to me.
Oh my God. They
bought it online. I was stunned. So yeah, I do actually have that. I haven't tried it on lately. Yeah. But I have the full suit from the final year. It's unbelievable. I was so thankful to them. So Christine, Michael, thank you. Yeah. Again, they were lovely awesome to do that, and I was just blown away. Yeah, I know. I'm having a Halloween costume party, Dean, and we can work this out, Paul. Yeah, we got to work that out. You got to show up in that outfit, and I'll rig it. I was thinking it would be you. No, saw your brother, and he looked a lot like Clark Kent. That's right, he does, doesn't he? But I want you to bust through my door during the party. Just bust. You got to make it a fake door because busting through real doors is tough. So I heard, is this true that Terry Hatcher looked you in the eye when she first met you and said, "You don't like me"? Very first word she ever said to me. Really? She said, "You don't like me, do you?" Because we had gone to network together. It was myself and there were two Supermen. It was myself and Kevin Sorbo. Mm-hmm. There were three Loises, Paula Marshall, Terry, and oh my God, maybe it was Melora Hardin. I'm not sure if that was it. I think so. And I auditioned with Paula and Melora, but never with Terry. Oh. And then I was cast. So I had three other shows that were ready to cast me. So I had a really good run going. So they had to choose me. And I guess, and Les Moonvest's wife, who was Les Moonvest, was the head of Lorimar Television at the time, which then became Warner, but he was making the decisions. And funny is because he was friends with my folks, but he said when I walked in, he goes, "If this kid can talk, he's got it." There you go. Yeah. That's what she told me. And I hope that's correct. But I never spoke to Terry there. So I was cast on a Thursday, and I had my buddy who had been reading lines as Lois Lane with me the whole time said, "If you get this, we're skiing in Utah," because he had his parents had a place in Utah. Right. And he goes, and I said, "I'll buy us new boots and new skis." Woo. And I got it. I bought the new boots and skis. We were there that weekend. They told me that weekend, "You got to come back on Monday. We need you to read with Lois Lanes." And I was like, "Oh no!" What? Right in the middle of your week. Yeah. So I came right back. Yeah. And they had me read a scene with 10 different Lois Lanes. I believe it was 10. And the scene was that Lois is a little intoxicated, and she finally comes over to Clark's apartment, upset about her ex-boyfriend, and decides that she's going to sleep with Clark. Oh. And Clark wants to. Oh man, he wants to. But it's not right. because she's inebriated and he's not going to do that. Right. So she knocks on the door. He opens it up. She kisses him right on the lips, right to start everything off. And then he has to proceed to say, no, this can't happen.
Yeah.
Okay. When I read that scene, I was like, I understand this. But then I had to go through in front of the network and do this 10 times. And I had just gotten the job. I was terrified they were going to look at me and go, you know what? We made a mistake with this kid. We got the wrong kid playing this. We stuck him here for 10 different auditions and he's terrible. So I was terrified of that.
Oh yeah.
But apparently it didn't kill my chances. But it was amazing to watch, to open the door and kiss a woman every 15 minutes.
Yeah. That you didn't know. You didn't know any of these,
didn't know them at all. No. It was like I was back in college. I'm kidding. That's a joke. That's a joke. So, but then the final girl was Terry Hatcher. And they said, and all the other girls beforehand, I didn't read with them. Beforehand, run lines or anything.
Right.
They came to me and said, hey, Terry would like to run lines with you before she comes in. I said, sure, of course. So I went into the room to run lines with her and I opened the door and she looked up at me and looked me right in the eye and said, you don't like me, do you? And I was like, what? She goes, we were at the network and you never said anything. I was like, well, you never said anything to me. I was just trying to get a job. I was so nervous. I didn't say anything to anybody or I didn't plan on it. But the funny thing is that's pretty much apropos of Lois and Clark's relationship. Yeah. I came in dead straight and she had something already planned and thought. She was like, already had something in her mind. And I was reacting to that. And so I think her character really drove the show and I got to react off it, which worked out really well.
Oh yeah. I mean, you guys look together. Look at you. You guys look like you just took her to the prom. Perfect couple. I mean, the genetics are fantastic there on both sides.
See, you know how they say like, it looks like it's, oh God, I wish I could kiss her every day and blah, blah, blah. Yes. It seems like that, whatever. And so then you hear people going, oh, well, it was terrible and it wasn't fun kissing. She was really fun to kiss.
Was she?
Yeah.
So what separated her from all the girls you had kissed in the past and on screen, off screen? What was it about her that made her kiss so nice?
Well, and
please be descriptive.
We have to get into the mechanics of kissing.
Yes.
Very soft lips, a very sensual woman.
Smelled great, I'm sure.
Pardon me?
She smelled great, I'm sure.
Oh, she smelled great and she was lovely. And you're together we were kissing all the time on the show. So thank God she was a wonderful kisser and it was enjoyable and fun and lovely. So you just don't know that. I mean, you hear, people start dating and they finally kiss the person they've been dating and they're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No.
No.
So it just there has to be a physicality. It has to work there. And fortunately that did.
So if there was that kind of chemistry, and there had to be, you never dated her off screen? There was no chemistry like that or anything going on?
No, well, Terry got married during season 1.
Oh, okay.
Married throughout. Yeah. So there was none of that sort of stuff going on. I had girlfriends the entire time. And,
do you think there would have been if you guys were in the right spot? Do you think that would have been something that would have happened?
Oh, I don't know. I never thought of it in that terms because it's work and it is work. And we were with each other, 18 hours a day, literally every day, 5 days a week, 9.5 months a year. So it was I saw her more than her husband did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows what would have happened there? There's a lot of things that go on when you're on set. I've only had one ever set romance and that wasn't it.
No. Yeah. Is it awkward when you're on stage with somebody and you kissing them as often as you are and you're doing your scenes and all that, and then you see them on the street and they're with their husband or boyfriend and you lean over and kiss her, but I'm sure you kiss her on the cheek. But is that an awkward thing? Does it make it kind of awkward or no?
No, it's not. I mean, it's awkward. I remember I was with this wonderful actress, a different actress doing this show, and we're in bed and we're kissing and all this sort of stuff's going on. And her husband, her boyfriend and her kids, and I knew the boyfriend really well too.
Yeah.
Are just off stage.
Yeah.
And here we are in bed, in those things, they tend to be very uncomfortable and there's people all around and it doesn't have that romance, the thing that people might think, oh, this is wonderful. It's most of the time, it's terribly uncomfortable. It was very easy kissing Terry Hatcher. That was like the easiest thing in the world because that's so much what the characters did. And she was wonderful to play off of. So that wasn't awkward at all. Her husband was on the show too. He came on the show and was on the show and he's a great actor and they got divorced later. And I believe he's remarried. So it's no, I mean, it's
Yeah.
one of those things. I remember having a girlfriend though, who was not in the business later on.
Mhm.
And she saw me kiss a girl in like a promo for the show. And she was bothered by it. And I was like, wait,
Wait a
but
minute.
that's the job.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like I was going, woohoo, this girl was married with kids and her husband was her husband's a super stud dude. You
Mhm.
know, it's like, you know, that guy, I was like, dude, I want to be like you. So I was like, one of those things, I was like, no, it never even crossed my mind.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
but there are a lot of those stories out there. But however, for me, being an actor, it's never really been an issue. Maybe a couple times with girlfriends who got a little jealous of it.
Yeah.
But no, it's pretty, I guess maybe because I grew up in this business, grew up around it. It wasn't one of those things. And I never do it to date a girl or want someone cast so I could date them. And Little Angels, Helena Matson, who plays opposite me, plays Charlie. She's fantastic. Lovely to kiss her too, but happily married.
Yes.
Kids were on set. You know, it's that sort of a thing. And it's wonderful to spar verbally and have those interactions and things like that. And, you know, the kissing stuff is always a little uncomfortable for everybody. It just is.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've been on set for a few of those, seen them, and it just seems that way awkward to me to have the husband there, the wife there. I mean, it just makes it a little awkward, but
we
actors.
We get lost into a character. So if it's I even talk about my characters, like in Little Angels, I play Coach Jake. I play Jake. So I'm like, so when Jake comes in here, and when we're doing this thing, I think we should go to Coach Jake on this one. You know, I refer to myself in the third person because I don't think of it as me. I think of it as the character.
Yeah.
And so I don't hold any personal. I mean, that's part of being an actor, I guess.
Yeah, it is. Well, let's talk about your movie, because you told me kind of the plot. I want you to say it here, but I love the idea of it. I really did, because I think it's such a punishment, and I'll let you describe it, but in my mind, it's such a punishment for what happened to this coach, knowing coaches as we know them, to have to do this. So it's a great setup, Dean, and tell us about it. Tell us.
Well, I wrote it, I produced it, I directed it, starred in it, and everything, because I know the character.
Yeah.
And the character he's like a Nick Saban type, national championship football coach, was a great player back in the day. He's brash. He is self-absorbed. He is verbose, and he is not scared to say what he thinks. And so in the national championship game, he's winning for the second time in 5 years. The game's out of reach, and he puts in a girl kicker to kick the extra point. The game's gone. It's over. It's won.
Yeah.
And she misses it.
Ooh.
And he gets angry and says some very disparaging things about her, and that she shouldn't have been on the team. It was a publicity stunt. It was a joke. And those words were actually spoken by a coach back in the day. This sort of happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of borrowed from that situation. It's happened a couple of times. So in this day and age of saying the wrong thing and political correctness, he gets busted. The athletic director gets fired. He gets suspended for a year, and he makes $5 million a year without pay. Excuse me. And he has to do 50 hours of a sensitivity seminar and 50 hours or 150 hours of community service or something crazy. And then he can get his job back.
Right.
Because he's so good. They don't want him really gone, but they're going to give him this punishment. And he reluctantly goes, can't stand the sensitivity seminar. And then what they give him for community service is that he has to coach a under 13-year-old girls soccer community team. And he doesn't know anything about soccer.
Yeah.
He just disparaged female athletes. Now, I personally love female athletes. Like, half of my girlfriends are like Olympic championship, swimmer, professional volleyball players. I mean, I love female athletes.
Right.
So I don't make fun of them myself in any way. I mean, I'll make fun of them, but I play against them.
Yeah.
In the same way I'd make fun of a male athlete. I mean, it's total respect.
Right.
But Coach Jake doesn't have that same respect. And so he has to coach these girls. He doesn't want to do it. He's still trying to coach football. And then eventually he starts to really like the girls and see that they need coaching. And coaching at that level, you're doing more than just coaching. Even up at the higher levels, you're dealing with self-esteem. A lot of the times, these like my college football coaches, they become like surrogate fathers to these kids.
Right.
And high school football coaches and stuff do, especially if their fathers aren't at home. And so many of my friends playing growing up in the days, did not have fathers at home. So coaches became that, and they're really important. So he sort of becomes a parental figure to them and really buys into them and does things for them. And he does it in a very unorthodox way, which is quite funny. And then he starts to really like it. Then he brings in Brady Chastain to help coach and help teach the girls some things. And so he reaches out to other people to teach him more about soccer, and he really gets invested and cares about the kids. And it's It's a lovely, lovely family movie, very positive. But it has its moments of drama and things that go on. And his relationship with the little angels are fantastic.
Yeah.
They will melt your hearts. They're so sweet. They're so funny. They're lovely. And there's a reason the movie's called Little Angels, because they rock.
No, I just a great twist on that. Because in my mind, I'm seeing Nick Saban being sent down, and he has to. I just see his face as he's doing this with these, preteen soccer girls, and this is so different than the last soccer movie I ever saw was Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield.
Yes, that's the weird thing. I didn't realize. I wrote this thing like 5 years ago, and I didn't realize there are no soccer movies out there.
No.
Well, there is now. There will be now.
This is exciting. I think it's going to be great. I know you can't let us see a clip of it yet, but we'd love to see one when you can, because
yes, I can share pictures with you. I'll share a picture with you.
It's exciting stuff. I know you've spent 5 years of your life. People don't know how talented a writer. Your dad, director, and you wrote a lot for him. I mean, did you just have that naturally, the writing ability? It just came to you, how to structure and how to do all that stuff?
It did. I never took a single screenwriting class or anything of that nature. And my dad recognized it in me early on. He recognized just in my schoolwork and things like that I did, that I was a good writer. I remember we used to write these sort of fiction stories when I was in school at Point Doom Elementary School. And we'd write these stories. That they came up with this thing where we'd write stories. And so I would involve all the members of the class. So I would take them and have them doing things, sort of a Lord of the Flies kind of stories or things like that. And I would involve all the people in the class, and it was so much fun to do that. And I think that's the beginning of where I started to like doing that. And then I took, in like junior high school, a typing class. Now, for those kids out there who might be watching, a typewriter is something we used to write on before computers showed up. So you'd have to learn how to type. It's the same keyboard.
Right.
And I loved that. And what I would do when we were, when our family would go for like holidays, we had a ranch up in Albury, California, up above near Fresno and up in the mountains there, Shaver Lake kind of area. And I would sit there, I would put a piece of paper in the typewriter, and I would write one of those silly stories about our family. And I would take it and I would stick it on the magnet on the refrigerator, and everybody would see it and chuckle. Well, as I got into college, I was doing more and more writing and I ended up being a history major, which is a big story.
Wow.
And my dad always started encouraging me about my writing. He said, you know what, I know you're talking about being an actor and you're playing football and you're going to want to go to the NFL, but that all requires you and your charisma and your physicality. And what if you got in a car accident tomorrow and your face got all busted up and you lost your ability to speak? If you were a writer, you'd always be able to make a living, and you are very good at writing. And so he pushed me to write. He gave me an idea for a screenplay and said, I bet you can't write that, because I respond to that stuff. So of course I wrote a full screenplay. Then I started becoming his ghostwriter, and I ghost wrote for him on, I can't tell you how many movies. So I saw all my work up on screen all the time. Wow. I wrote episodes of Lois and Clark. I got my own writing gig the same time I got cast to play Superman. So I had to stop doing that so I could just play Superman at the time. So I had to negotiate out of that, and it was a bummer because I wanted to do it. I loved writing. And I've always been writing since. So I've written with my dad a dozen movies. I've written a lot of my own. This is the first one that I'm going out there as my sort of my debut, my directorial debut and my writing debut. And
how exciting.
And I'm very excited. I love it. And my dad said to me way back in the day when I did I was playing Superman, but I did a writing project for him at the same time. And he said, listen, he goes, you're a fine actor. He goes, but you could be acting the rest of your life. You'll never be as good an actor as you are a writer right now.
Wow. Well, that's an endorsement coming from him.
No, I don't think too much of my acting ability, Dad.
No, listen, he's obviously he's so talented as a director, and coming from him to have that kind of endorsement as a writer. I mean, and he's right. Look at, you hurt your knee, couldn't play football. You never know what's going to happen. But if you have that background, you've got that ability. I've got all these great ideas. I sit down, try to write them. And then 10 minutes later, I go, I can't do this. I mean, I can't do it. You have to admit when you can't do it. I said, that's not me. I can't do that.
I love it.
You love it, right? You're a storyteller.
I can get home. I can go work out in between. I can go jump in the pool. I can watch a football game. And when it comes to you, you're just on. And I'm in the middle of writing one now.
Wow.
It's a novel adaptation, but I found it. Like when you're working on it, and all of a sudden you get what it's supposed to be. I got what it's supposed to be the other day, and I'm like, yes.
Wow.
So
What is your ritual for that? Do you like to write early morning or afternoon, or what is
I
your
used
ritual?
to write only at night when everything was sort of down and done, but then I became a parent, and so that stopped.
Yeah.
Now I write. I'll get up, have breakfast, sit down, start working.
Yeah. Just
And
go.
then when I get burnt, I'll go for a run and I'll go do something else and I'll run some errands and do whatever. It's good to go get physical in between, and then that clears your mind, and then come back, take another look at it, do some more work on it, and have a second run at it. But then I want to get to a place where I'm not thinking about it when I'm sleeping, because it can really consume your mind.
Oh yeah.
And, you wake up at 4:00 in the morning and have to write it down what your little thoughts were. I did that last night, unfortunately.
You were up late, huh?
Yeah, well, I was asleep, and I woke up at 4:00 in the morning, and I was thinking about something, and I had to type it out on my little notes section of my phone.
Right.
I put it away. I was like, nah, I can forget that and go back to sleep.
Yeah, no, that's
I haven't
good.
looked at it yet today, but I have to see what that was.
Oh my gosh. Well, we could talk forever. We're running short on time, but I did want to find out just a funny little thing, if you have one. The most embarrassing moment of playing Superman, what was it? Was there a moment when you split your tights? Or, what happened, Dean? There's something that happened. You couldn't pick up a paperweight. What happened?
Never split the tights. But embarrassing, embarrassing would be like, unfortunately I couldn't fly, so kids would come to the set all the time.
Oh yeah.
And we would find out, we had limited special effects budget and things we could do. So we only could blur so many times in an episode, or we could only, have me flown in with the cables and things a certain number of times. And that was very technical, and it took a lot of time. And so a lot of the times when I come into a scene, I would just jump off of a ladder or apple boxes, land right in front of camera, and trying to do things. And then when I'd leave, I would grab my cape and I would just whip it up in front of the lens. And then the person looks up. We called that a cape out. We even started writing it in the script, and cape out, blah, blah, blah. So kids would come and they'd show up on set, and there I am. I'm Superman. And I guess they were babbling the whole way there. I'm going to meet Superman. Blah. And then the parents get him there to the set, and there's Superman. The tights are blue and the red, the S is yellow and red, and the cape is red and the boots. And they're like, that's Superman. So they wouldn't say a word to me. I try to talk to him and nothing. Then they'd watch us film, and here I go jumping off a ladder and then doing a cape out. And they're just like, what is that? That is not. And I remember one kid is like, Superman, come here. And I was like, you're a brash little kid. All right. I'm like, what's up, man? What's going on? He's like, fly over there. And I was like, you fly over there.
Yeah.
He goes, you fly over there. I'm like, you're Superman. I'm like, wow, you got a point, but no, I'm not going to just fly over there. I'm like, somebody better take care of this kid, because he's going to be, I can't answer some of these questions he's about to ask me. But there was some fun we had. There was some fun we had when we were flying and doing things. There was a time we flew into the Daily Planet, and it was all great. And I'm supposed to fly out of the Daily Planet. And, I can't control that. All I can control is my body position. And that's really difficult to do. People who fly it, it's a lot easier now, but back then, 2 little pick points, and you had to balance that. You had to have arm, legs, everything had to move just right. And I got very good at it, but other people would try it and they would look like a noodle. Like that would be their leg. So you have to straighten your core and do all this stuff. But they flew me right into a translite. They flew me out, and I'm flying out, and all of a sudden, bang, I hit the whole translite and everything. And I was like, nothing I can do about that,
No, that's funny. That is funny. That reminds me of Chris Farley when they had that trouble. Did you see that episode of Saturday Night Live when he was supposed to fly, and it wouldn't work, and then it got caught on the back stage, and so they're yanking, and then finally they get him up, and it was hysterical. You should watch that.
I will find that.
Yeah, it's really funny. And then
he was genius. Chris Farley was genius.
God, what a genius. Well, buddy, I appreciate your time. I want to get those pictures so we can talk about more of
I'll send them right over.
Little Angels, because that movie is going to be fun to watch, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I gotta say, I am super happy with the film.
Yeah. Well,
super happy with it. It turned out brilliantly. I got a bunch of my dad's old cronies together who wouldn't normally, we couldn't afford them for a budget the size we had. And everybody said yes, and they worked with me. And the quality of this film is fantastic. Awesome. I'm so proud of it. It's a living, breathing thing that I get to share with the world now. And I'm super excited. Can't wait. Well, let's do, it's only fitting, Dean, that you do a cape out for us. Let's do the cape out. Let's go. I have my cape.
We'll put one in.
I need a cape. Here we go.
All right. Get us a cape and we'll do a cape out
blanket.
here.
My little blanket here.
Yeah, there you go.
This would be my cape out.
Here we
It would
go.
look like this.
Yeah.
Usually, actually, it's over my back though. I'd be talking to someone.
Oh,
here,
that's right. Yeah,
and
we
then
see
then I would grab the cape and I would just go.
Thanks for listening to Streaming Legends with PJ. Make sure to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And don't forget to recommend the show to a friend. For more podcasts and online content, go to thisisfunner.com.